Hi, tonight I will be talking about the film that probably left the most mark on me this year. It's not necessarily the best film, but yeah, definitely one of the films that I thought about the most after The Substance, and it's called, wait a sec, Parthenope by Paolo Sorrentino, whose fan I've been for a very long while, actually, or rather since everybody became his fan in like early 2010s with La Grande Bellezza, which I think is probably the film that I've seen the most. I followed him with the film Youth, which is amazing, and then The Hand of God, which is thematically actually linked to the most recent one, whose name I'll always struggle to pronounce. So Parthenope, yeah. And yeah, so this is going to be a brief review. I'm doing it in English because my reviews in Serbian, even for more mainstream things, are not getting that much traction, and I haven't seen that many reviews of Parthenope. Anyway, so I may as well do this so I get like whatever 5 people watching this. But okay, just to recap the film first. So the film follows this Neapolitan socialite during her sort of teen years in her 20s, which sort of coincide with the 70s, because she was born in 1950 to a relatively wealthy family, rather the one that's connected to, I think, the Neapolitan mayor, in this very beautiful residential part of the city that looks towards the Vesuvius and the whole Neapolitan Bay. And basically it follows her life and growing up, where she eventually becomes, this is not a major spoiler, but somewhat of an observer of the world and of the situation in Naples. And that's, her name is obviously symbolic because she's named after the city, or rather the mysterious siren who died. There are various myths surrounding it, on the place where Naples is now. And so the film is also supposed to be sort of an homage to Naples, its sort of vibrant life and I guess history, or like mid-century history, which is a very nice way for Paolo Sorrentino to sort of, write another love letter to the city where he grew up. That's the most obvious connection with The Hand of God. However, I think thematically there is an even deeper one, and you can actually trace it throughout Sorrentino's work. And so once again, this is a film about sort of observing life after very traumatic incidents. So Sorrentino, for those of you who have not followed as much his sort of life story, which is partly depicted in the Hand of God, basically he lost his parents when he was a teen through a sort of freak accident where they sort of suffocated when they went to their holiday home, and he barely escaped death simply because he went to see a football match where his beloved Naples was playing, and Diego Maradona was playing for Naples back then. So I think because this film also deals with a tragedy and sort of a sense of loss, of a momentous loss of somebody who's very close to you, this film once again deals with sort of how you continue with your life afterwards, and with this very sort of magical lens through which you start seeing the world, even though you might be a bit depressed, might be a bit down. And actually, if you look back even from before these two films, you can also see this sense in Youth, because also the plot there sort of revolves around the person dealing with grief, or at least the main plot. And also actually in La Grande Bellezza, because as some of you might know, basically at the beginning of the film, the protagonist, Giuseppe Gambardella, is notified that his sort of girlfriend, or like the love of his life, as we're sort of meant to think, has died, and he's sort of processing how come he can still live. So, and I think Sorrentino really does bring that out, which makes this film very relatable to people who've sort of suffered losses before, because it really does show how sort of every day becomes a miracle, and how you start noticing these smaller things which you before took for granted, but because you sort of took other things for granted in your life that you now don't have, you start noticing them. And the second theme of the film, which I think is why the film is so interesting, is how you can basically spend your life observing and trying to be smart, and how that might not be the optimal way about the optimal way of going about things. So the title character, Parthenope, she is very smart, very beautiful as well, and has all these opportunities throughout her life. But yeah, don't want to spoil it. But it's sort of interesting how, you take a lot of things for granted. All of the good things you have, you might not want to use them. You think it's bad, you think it's useless, and you sort of always want something more, but then you have nothing. And then finally, the film is beautiful. Like literally every shot of it can be sort of hung somewhere. It's really, really amazing cinematography. A few scenes that I will probably, raise eyebrows. And you can see, Sorrentino's being much more indulgent with this film. It's probably why it's not as popular or critically acclaimed as his previous ones. Because you can really see, a director enjoying his power over the cast to sort of, make him do various things. Which, is not ideal. A friend of mine with whom I've seen the film walked out because he thought one of the scenes was a bit too much. Funny enough, another very sort of nice couple also walked out because they were on a date, and presumably it got a bit too much for them. So yeah, there's like risque scenes, but that's not the bad thing. I think the film could easily lose maybe half an hour and maybe a bit more, explicit. I think unfortunately the whole sort of parable between Parthenope and Naples, or rather his attempt of sort of making her almost like the spirit of the city. I mean, I've been to Naples several times. It's a beautiful city and it's wonderful, and sort of I know a bit of its history and have a sense for it. But yeah, maybe that kind of escapes me. But I don't think it's like a very easy way of connecting the two. It's very individual, personal story of this very privileged girl. I think from is it Posillipo or whatever. There's a very good water polo club for where she's from. Sort of how that really translates about the history of the city. But apart from the fact that I think like Sorrentino, she also kind of has a very sort of tortured attitude towards the city, and might find like her flourishing elsewhere. Don't want to spoil anything. You should watch it, especially if it comes out on streaming. It is a bit shocking. So, if you're a bit squeamish, or rather, can be a bit annoyed with certain liberties, especially around the Catholic Church, maybe, skip it. But apart from that, or you don't like, whatever, 2.5-hour films. But like, even if you put it in the background, whenever you turn, there's going to be someone beautiful, something beautiful, and that's great. So, yeah. That's it for me, I think, for this year. It's definitely one of the better films that I've seen. To be honest, I think maybe only The Substance is better, but I think that says more about the whole situation in the industry. Nosferatu was fine. I did a review of it in Serbian, so if you speak Serbian, watch that. And yeah, I don't think there has been nothing much that I've seen that was so good, apart from maybe Baby Reindeer, which also, has similar themes maybe to Parthenope, or rather this sort of theme of, longing, wanting to use your youth in the best possible way, and maybe not doing it. But apart from the substance and maybe Nosferatu and maybe Baby Reindeer, I don't think there has been a single film that I can say I really enjoyed this year, which, you know, a bit sad. Apart from a European Christmas film that happens in Serbia. So watch that if there's nothing better. Anyway, that's all from me, and maybe there's going to be more reviews in English, who knows. And that's it. Have a great New Year's. Bye.